here we are again. Can you believe it? We have gone through another 12 months of pro wrestling, and now I, Simon Miller, stand here on your television or computer screen, ready to take the finger of power and give the good bits and up and the bad bits are down from WWE in 2022. It's kind of getting scary now, getting very, very old. But let's not worry about that, and let's up some downs. We start with a down. Why? Because people get annoyed when I do this, and I really enjoy the chaos. But if we do go back to the start of the year and the Raw Rumbles, which to me will always serve as WWE's premier live event, well, they just weren't very good. And I know this because I rewatched them. They're just so meh. I mean, at least when one falls off a cliff, we can run around laughing about it, going, tee, what an absolute mess. But both the women's and men's Raw Rumble just felt like nobody could give a damn. At times, bit like pulling teeth. I mean, at one point I couldn't even remember who had won these, and I'll give you a moment to see if you can figure it out. But it was Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar. Now, I do understand this because they are super duper mega stars, but that falls flat as well. I think we were all desperate for something new. We didn't get it. WWE also struggled to fill the women's one because they didn't have enough people on the roster because they kept firing everybody. So that was a bit silly. And yeah, it didn't really construct the stories leading into WrestleMania that one would like. Hence why they've still got to get it down. Let us talk about a bunch of WWE superstars who did smash it though. Seth Rollins has had another year that will see him fly into the Hall of Fame, no matter what he does with his career from this point out. He could come out of Raw in a few weeks and go, I'm Bastion Booger now, and after he'd retired, I'd still be saying, well, we gotta put him in the Hoff. Drew McIntyre has also established himself as a proper main eventer and an integral part of WWE program. To that point, he had that wonderful match at Clash of the Castle, and if he had become the WWE Unified Champion, only a few people would have moaned about it. That's because a few people always moan. Roman Reigns is a genuine superstar and the guy that WWE always wanted, to the point that in 2023, if you wanted to turn him babyface, he's not going to get any negativity now, so he's totally done it. And any promotion worth their salt on planet Earth should want somebody like this. He is truly great. Bianca Belair has also established herself as a world champion and that she's going to sit on the top of the women's division for a long ass time to come. And we have barely touched the surface with this because there's still so many women she can have feuds with. It's the same for Becky Lynch too, who had a massive layoff and yet still managed to be a massive superstar, whether she was a babyface or whether she was a heel. I know people prefer the former over the latter, but that is not at the point. Always found a way to make herself very important. So there you go. There's a lot more that we can talk about, and we will as this video go on, but it's an up for all of these heroes. And yes, now calm down, you're mad because some people have been left off there, but it's for a specific reason. I wanted to talk about them here. The Usos, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. And we could separate the tribal chief too, but I think we all know how good he was anyway. But when it comes to Jimmy and Jey Uso, flub me sideways. They just took the ball in 2022 and genuinely became one of the best tag teams on the planet. Like, they were number one in the PWI list and people going, I can't believe it. Are you kidding me? The Usos rock. Sami Zayn has also finally been allowed to shine in his favorite role and become one of the best guys on the entire roster. And he should be the world champion at some point. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding around. This isn't some kind of ruse. Before I die, I expect to see Sam with that gold around his waist. Otherwise, I'm going to go on the internet and moan about it. And then there is Kevin Owens. I mean, what a flipping consistent performer he is. Once again, he can play face or he can play heel, but he's always so damn entertaining. And recently, we've been teasing everything between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and what the Usos may do. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, but also scared in my tum-tum. I mean, do not forget that Owens not only took on Steve Austin at WrestleMania, but right after that went into a feud with Elias's fake brother Ezekiel, and somehow managed to make all of it some of the most fun television that we saw throughout the year. So I would give him a medal if I could, but I can't. I'm going to take everybody instead and give them an up. They have made me feel like a good person. I don't even know what that means, I just think they're great. On a quick aside as well, I am going to throw Solo Sikoa in there, who seamlessly transitioned to the main roster. Once again, keep an eye on that cat in 2023, he's gonna fly. As will Cody Rhodes. What a flippin' year. He wasn't even around for half of it. Now this entry is more about his return at WrestleMania, because I tell you, if wrestling is all about moments, this was one of the best we've had in ages, and it's one of those things that I got to experience live, and it hit such a height, I felt privileged to be there. It also proved that Cody had made the right call because he did feel like a bigger star, and the only real shame is that he did suffer that pec injury. But what did Rhodes do? He went, well, I can probably use this to my advantage, and he did that Hell in a Cell match. I mean, that was crazy. It was also kind of beautiful. This is all going to peak with the American Nightmare winning the World Championship as well, and when we do get that, we shall have another moment, and I'm genuinely excited about him coming back to WWE. If anybody makes you feel that way, you've got to give him an up. And let's just give it up for Gunther too, and Sheamus, and what they did at Clash of the Castle. I think both these guys just took 2022 by the horns and rode it into Chop Town. Now, they're set up for an even better 2023. Hence the up. I'll tell you what wasn't so great though. This is a bit of a random one, but again, I'm going to leave some so you can talk about it in the comments. All that nonsense with Lacey Evans. I mean, it was crazy. It's even sillier now because in recent times we're trying to repackage her again as the good guy Marine, but we did a bunch of videos that made her a very sympathetic babyface, and then because it didn't get over in around about 5 minutes, Vince McMahon changed his mind, and she was just back to being an asshole again. And it is a shame because Evans is good. I won't take this rhetoric that people say otherwise. When she was doing the Southern Belle, it was like a wonderful throwback to old school wrestling. And given once again that she does have this incredible story to tell, why aren't the hell we tapping in with this? So I do have more faith with her under Triple H because obviously he was responsible for her down in NXT too. But let's see this one out this time for goodness sake. Otherwise, much like you're getting now, there's gonna be another down. Back to happiness now though. I think SummerSlam deserves an up. I mean, there was Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, The Miz versus Logan Paul, as Logan Paul surprised all of us. Pat McAfee was also out here proving he could be some sort of wrestling savant. And we had that flubbing main event. I mean, we saw Brock Lesnar lift the ring with a tractor in an act that actually could have killed people, and saw Roman Reigns spill out of the ring like he was some kind of football. I mean, it was so well done, it made Lesnar come across like an absolute beast, so when Reigns did beat him, he felt like a mammoth too. And this was especially great because going into it, everyone was like, I don't want to watch Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at Last Man Standing. And I was the same too, but they must have heard that. They timed the dial up to 11. And yes, we did have that Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey match that didn't help Liv Morgan at all, but we shall talk about that later. But this really was Triple H's first premium live event, and I thought he did a terrific job. Hence why he's getting me up. And it was also excellent that Paul Levesque was in charge, because people got their jobs back. And don't be that weird person that's all like, I don't want people to be employed. That makes you a psychopath. But after years of dozens of wrestlers being released for no reason, we did get some comebacks like Karrion Kross and Scarlett and Tegan Nox and Braun Strowman, and Chelsea Green is going to be there soon. I mean, this list goes on for ages. This doesn't mean that they're all going to smash it, but some of them should never have been let go in the first place. Like, say what you want about Braun Strowman, but he is such a WWE guy. And when you do use him correctly, it just works. I just think this is nice. And nice to me gets it up. On the flip side though, and we did talk about this on another video when we did the ups and downs with Triple H's reign so far, even though he has gone out of his way to rehire people, not all of them are clicking. It's only fair to say that Hit Row haven't really found their feet yet and they're a bit directionless. Emma hasn't done much of anything. Dexter Loomis seems to divide people down the middle. Some people love him, some people don't get him at all. And we do focus on B-Fab, Ashanti the Adonis and Top Dollar. It only takes a few weeks to save them or give them something to do. Just at the moment they did return, didn't really have a feud, and they lose all the time. Even though it doesn't make any sense, I am going to throw Damage Control in here as well, because I don't think it deserves its own specific down. But there is a group that kind of falls into the Hit Row territory. On paper, it seemed like they were going to rock. Ultimately, they haven't done much of anything. Once again, though, people having jobs and people being utilized is far more important than this. But it's my show, and it's getting it down. What shall not get it down, though, is all that White Rabbit stuff. There's no need to overstay our welcome with this because you already get it. Not only did it bring Bray Wyatt back to WWE, but the company proved that they could be patient and they could tap into viral marketing. I mean, boy howdy. That got so crazy, at a specific time on a Friday night, a bunch of people tuned into SmackDown just because that's what the hints told them to do. It should set a template for many stories, although you don't want to do it too much. But but I was thoroughly impressed by this. Giving it up. Which is the same for Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, the surprise couple of 2022. They also use videos like this to get over, because we had that wonderful social media clip over Thanksgiving where they decided to break into the Rey Mysterio household and beat the crap out of them just because they're both a couple of dicks. And it's only worked because Rhea and Dom are so good in their roles. And just go listen to the reaction Dominic gets every time he's in the ring or on the microphone. People boo the shit out of him, which means he's doing his job exactly how he should have done. I really, really like it. I also look forward to see what they're going to do each and every single week, which means you've done something right, so they have to get their own specific up. I mean, they are truly tremendous. And it's an up for NXT. That's right. Firstly, the show is great because it's absolutely insane. I mean, you never know what they're going to do. They do not obey the laws of usual wrestling. And if something just pops in their head, I suppose Shawn Michaels goes shrug emoji, it just puts it on television. Also, as Brandon Thurston, he of WrestleNomics, has proved, ever since Triple H took back over, NXT is actually trending upwards. He's not just saying words out of his mouth, he's used stats, he's used ratings, and he's used figures. It also means that WWE has a nice shiny graph they can show to the USA Network, who'll be like, oh, that's wonderful, NXT is doing better. And it doesn't mean that all the matches are superb, they're absolutely not, but the characters are absolutely insane, and there's just a chaotic element to it. I can't help it. It's one of my favourite shows on TV. Shh, don't tell anyone. And back to things that didn't work. We mentioned it earlier. Liv Morgan being the world champion. Now, there was no reason that this shouldn't have been great, because Liv Morgan is great and is somebody that can get sympathy and works as a babyface. But we decided to give her the belt on a fluke and then have Ronda Rousey beat the crap out of her, while we all stood there like, well, what the hell are we doing? She can't do much of anything. I mean, it was kind of cool because there was an aftermath to this story as Liv Morgan went all crazy, but she just was portrayed as nowhere near in the same class as Ronda, and that's not what you should be doing with your roster, especially when somebody's already wearing the gold. She's not the first to suffer from this either, because we were talking about the same thing with Big E last year and how he dropped the ball with his WWE title run, and people still talk about Rey Mysterio from years and years ago. Now, she is going to be okay because she's got the stuff, but honestly, it was proper facepalm material. Getting it down. And really, yeah, how can we not talk about it? We gotta bring in Vince McMahon. It's still surreal that he's no longer in charge, but after a sex scandal did break a few months ago, he was forced to retire. He did stand down from the company, meaning 45 years of promoting was finally done and over. And this still surprised me, because I thought the only way Vince would walk away is if he died in the gorilla position. I know that sounds terrible, but I actually thought it. Now let us remember that there are two things going on here. One, yes, McMahon was a terrific wrestling promoter. You don't stay on top for 4 decades if you don't know what you're doing, and he totally changed the world of professional wrestling. And it's all fair to say that if he hadn't have done this, maybe I wouldn't have even been a fan. At the same time though, in at number 2, he also did terrible, terrible things, and things you should never be hearing from anyone, especially from somebody running a company. I mean, nobody should have to feel threatened or worried about their employment just because of what somebody else is doing. And if you want to break it down to a less important level, if nothing else, Vince McMahon brought the company into disrepute. Right at the bottom of this list too is how it affects us and our enjoyment of the shows. So I don't know about you, but when I hear this stuff and it's just so horrible, I kind of stare at Raw and SmackDown like, well, I don't even know if I do want to watch this anymore. So all of it was bad. It shouldn't have happened then. It absolutely should never happen again. So what else can we do but give it a down? There was a rumor that he wants to come back at some point in the future. I do have to say, that'd be a terrible, terrible idea. We don't end on a Debbie Downer though. We make sure we finish with a positive peak, because that is the point of the show. So say it with me, the Bloodline. Now I know we've already kind of mentioned them throughout this video, but not only is it the best story WWE has told in years, but everybody involved in that group is just hitting home runs every single week. And honestly, the entertainment they've given me, I'll never be able to repay them. When we finally get to the point it falls apart too, it's going to be truly heartbreaking. And really, we could go in multiple directions. I think most of us believe that Roman Reigns and the Usos and Solo Sikoa will turn on Sami Zayn. But there's also some theories out there that say, well, maybe it'll be Sami Zayn that turns on Roman Reigns and he'll take over the Bloodline. I process that information, I think, you know what? If they did do it, it'd be absolutely fine. I mean, you've just got to get the narrative right, and when you have so many options, it means you have done something right. So I am going to give this a massive round of applause. I think it's been terrific TV, and also, it doesn't just get an up, it gets the golden up. Which of course brings us to the end of Ups and Downs for WWE in 2022, and we haven't done everything, so I want you to discuss that in the comments. And also, I've seen the audience retention. If we go on too long, you tune out anyway. Also, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where there's another list like this, and they have a bunch of ups and downs that you're able to get into. Follow us on social media, WhatCulture WWE and Simon Miller 316. And there's a lot of ups and downs videos out there right now. You've got Raw, you've got SmackDown, you've got Dynamite, you've got Rampage, you've got all of AEW in 2022. There's Triple H's reign so far. Seriously, it goes on for days, so you've got to watch them. Otherwise, what am I doing? My name is Simon What Culture. Thank you very much for watching me as always. You take care. You make sure you have a great 2023. And I'll see your ass, not literally, throughout the year.